Blessings. Welcome to today's Law Enforcement Daily Devotional. We're still in Genesis, and today's read was Genesis 43, 44, and 45. Good read. Today, we saw a lot of Judah in the background taking a leadership role. In 43:3, Judah shows his leadership. And again, it's not a boisterous, out front, you know, authoritative, push people around kind of leadership role. He leads very quietly, and he seems to only step in when a situation is truly needing a leader. If there's we see in their house, if something is not going right, he kind of lets Reuben make his suggestions. Reuben made a suggestion in yesterday's read where he told his father Jacob, "Hey, I'll leave my two kids here, and you can have them if we don't bring my brother back." Talking about going to get the food, and obviously the um, the idea of that was rejected by Jacob, because then in the very next chapter, it shows Judah steps up, and kind of you can just read that he has a calm demeanor and he explains things to Jacob, and next thing you know, that plan is the one they take action on, and they're on their way back to Egypt. So we see Judah off and on throughout this, and only when Judah is stepping up to take a leadership role. 43:21, they get back to Egypt, and I told you yesterday that Joseph is going to test them because they claim to be honest men, and Joseph doesn't know them as honest men, and he has no reason to trust them. Matter of fact, he calls them spies. And at first, or in years past, I was just like, oh, that's just something he's using to try and throw them off. But when you think about how Simeon and Levi went and spied out Shechem, they truly did spy out Shechem. They saw what was around. They made this plan. They had them get circumcised. And then while they were immobile on that third day of incredible pain and weren't able to fight back, they went in and murdered everybody in the entire town. So even though Egypt's a little different, it's much bigger. They have a grand army, and there's no way these brothers could ever take over this town inside of Egypt where all the food is stored. Joseph, there may have been some thought to this from Joseph of, are you guys really here to spy out this land? Or y'all going to try something like you did in the past? Because that's how he knows them. I think as we see later and as we go on, we realize these brothers have had a life change, and it was all due to the fact, or due to the event where they sold him into slavery. And after that, they seem to have changed. And here we are almost 20 years removed, and they're not the same guys. I'm not the same kid I was in junior high. I'm sure you're not either. But anyway, we'll move on. Chapter 44, Joseph gives them more food and he tests them again. And then we learn something in 44 that we know we know what it is to entrap somebody, and we can't do that legally. You cannot entrap somebody. You can merely afford someone the opportunity to commit a crime, but you can't entrap them into a crime. Well, Joseph entraps the brothers by putting this cup in there, then having someone chase them down. They search their bags and look, and lo and behold, there's the cup that Joseph's put in. And so it's a false accusation, but he's testing to see what their loyalty is to Benjamin and if they're going to be honest and true about it. And again, in verse 33, who steps up and takes a leadership role? Judah. Judah offers to sacrifice himself and stay there as a slave for the rest of his life so that Benjamin can go back home to his father. They're passing every test that Joseph is throwing at them. And then Joseph gets to the point where he is satisfied that they are truly men of honor, that they truly do love Benjamin. And there's this moment where he reveals himself to him, and there's this beautiful kind of family reunion, albeit without dad. Jacob's still back home, but that'll change as we get into tomorrow's read, and it's Genesis 46 and 47. Read ahead, come back with some questions. If you want to email me direct, you can email me at chuck@fcpo.org. So I'll see you tomorrow.